Ryan Poles stays active in going out and trading for Chris Williams from the Cleveland Browns. We're going to talk about it all and more, but first, we got to play that intro.
Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Shy Bears Central on every social media platform that we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So I know I'm in Bulls gear. I recorded the daily episode for Chicago Bulls Central. We got Bears news though. The Chicago Bears have acquired Chris Williams in a trade with the Cleveland Browns. The Bears give up a 6th-round pick, but also get Chris Brown and a 7th-round pick back in this one. Hey, so this is a really solid trade by the Chicago Bears. The Bears who needed a more depth at the tackle. One of the things that Matt Eberflus did talk about in coming out of the last preseason game is that one of the things that concerned him a little bit was the depth at the tackle position. We didn't really have kind of the players that we had hoped to step up. A player like Keith Randolph Jr., who we brought in from as an undrafted free agent, never really kind of stood out for the Chicago Bears in that preseason period. So that left the Bears needing to do something. So they went ahead, decided to make a trade for this defensive tackle in Chris Williams, and we'll see what he can bring to the table. It's at the depth move, right? You're not looking for too much other than it being a depth piece. That is what they're bringing him in here for, and hopefully he's able to strive at that position and bring a little bit of extra depth for the Chicago Bears, who that's all they're looking for, right? They have their two starting defensive tackles in Andrew Billings and Javon Dexter, but one of the things that we've said very oftenly that Ryan Poles is doing is he's aggressive, right? So in the last couple of days, basically since the last preseason game we just played on Thursday, we've went out and traded for a defensive end in Darrell Taylor, who's going to be another depth piece, was probably going to get an opportunity to compete for that starting defensive end position, and then we also bring in Chris Williams now as well. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. When I first heard this trade got announced and read it, my brain registered it as Chris Jones, and I was about to lose my ever-loving mind had that been the case. But, Chris Williams is a depth piece there. He's played 13 games over 2 seasons with the Colts. With that time, he registered 6 tackles. He's 6'2", 302 pounds. And this is a guy who, it is what it is. Matt Eberflus was the defensive coordinator of the Colts when he was there. So, it is what that is. He spent last season with the Chiefs and with the Browns. So we're going to be able to see what he can bring to this squad. Again, not trying to overstate what this is or anything like that, but it is another solid acquisition by Ryan Poles to show that Poles is not done, right? And that's the thing that we continue to see every offseason since Ryan Poles has been here. He's gone out and made trades for players at positions that were clear needs. Chase Claypool, it didn't work out, but you can understand in the calculated risk in trying to bring in Chase Claypool. He got Montez Sweat last year. Now, even before the season started, we know we need some talent at that edge position. He gets Darrell Taylor. We know that Matt Eberflus was a little concerned. Again, part of Matt Eberflus' system is the pressure from the interior defensive line. He goes out there and gets Chris Williams as well. And this is just Ryan Poles, again, calculated risk. You trade a 6th-round pick. You trade a 6th-round pick, but you get a 7th-rounder back with him, right, in the same draft. So, it is what it is there. Yeah, you gave up a 6th-round pick. You're moving down one more rounds, but you still keep the same number of picks that you've had before. And we'll see what comes about with this, man. So that is what it is. He's creating a great point here from Matty Legend, creating competition and depth. That's the point of it. Stefan says this guy was probably already going to get cut. Yeah, but you make sure that you bring him in here, right? If somebody hits the open market, there's no chance, even if he was going to get cut, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to bring him in. If Matt Eberflus, who probably talked to Ryan Poles and said, hey, no, this guy Chris Williams has some talent. I feel comfortable with him being a depth piece here. You go out and get the guy. You're giving up a 6th-round pick. 6th-rounders, not to say you can't find talent in the 6th round, but typically 6th-rounders turn out about what the production of Chris Williams is. That just is what it is. So I'm not knocking him for that. I think that this is an aggressive move as well, is that what we've seen from Ryan Poles throughout his time here. He's going to be somebody who is going to be aggressive. He's not afraid to be aggressive and go out and get your guys. And let's keep in mind with this as well, like this is a guy who over the course of the preseason so far, he has 2 sacks. in the preseason. So again, and even with the defensive tackle, it's not necessarily about the sack number, it's about pressure more from that interior. And so we'll see if he can create that, and we'll see what that brings to the Chicago Bears. We're all very solid pickup by the Bears for what it's worth, what we had to give up for it. I'm not mad at this deal at all. I think this is a solid acquisition, and we're just going to see how this plays out for the Bears. The Bears are continue to be aggressive, and that's all you can hope for from your franchise. Be aggressive about shoring up some of your deficiencies, and that's what this team is trying to do. That's what Ryan Poles has done a lot of times, is shoring up the deficiencies of this football team. And let's hope that that continues, man. Chris Williams is a guy who's solid. He's solid. Chris Williams, it's in the title there, brother. It's in the title. We got Chris Williams. So, wait, did I not put it in the title? Now you got me questioning myself. Now you got me questioning myself. It's in the title. We got Chris Williams. But yeah, this is a depth piece. This is not any threat to really win the starting position. Really, it's not really a threat either to necessarily take away the third defensive tackle from Zach Pickens. And when you have DeMarcus Walker there who can play the inside and outside, this is just a quality depth piece that can bring something that's used to the system. And that's all that you're hoping and asking for. You go out and get a guy who's been in Eberflus's system before, so that terminology, that understanding of the system, it's not going to be a huge learning curve for. And that's probably why the Bears felt comfortable giving up a 6th-round pick to get this guy in, because of the familiarity with the system and the quickness, because training camp is over, basically, of being able to pick that up, right? That's something that's you got to kind of measure, right? So we'll see what he ends up bringing. Again, this is a guy who, again, I'm not trying to say that he's like a world beater or anything. He's 26 years old, but he's a big body, 6'3", 302 pounds, going into his 3rd season in the NFL. And this is a guy who, I mean, his 4th season in the NFL, and this is a guy who can definitely try to come in and help your depth. Who else do you think we're going to go for? Hey, bro, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea. Shy Sports Fan says, sad Ian Wheeler tore his ACL. Yes, the guys were live on that earlier, so they did get to go live on that. So there is a video out there. Sad about Ian Wheeler, man. That sucks, bro. Hard Knocks is going to have a hell of a storyline for that, but it really does suck about Ian Wheeler, because I was hopeful that he was going to be able to make the team, man. But, it is what it is when it comes down to that. Pretty much ensures that Velus Jones Jr. is going to make the team. Yeah, definitely. Do you think he can bring a Andrew Billings like value? I don't know if that, like, again, Andrew Billings did come in and played much better than, like, if you go back to that when we brought in Andrew Billings, it's like, oh, it's a solid signing, but he was much better, especially after getting Montez Sweat. And that's the thing that you never quite know, right? Is how somebody's going to be in your team, because the specific makeup of your roster. So I'll say this, like, depending on who Chris Williams spends his time out there on the field with, if he's out there at times with Dexter, with Booker, with Montez Sweat, and he's coming in for like an Andrew Billings, you never know what he's going to be able to bring, because this is a guy who, like, has never really played with that type of talent consistently. So we'll see, man. We need O-line help. They get injured too often. I mean, we got O-line. We got a lot of depth. If you really look at it, we have a deeper O-line than what we've had the first 2 years under Matt Eberflus. We got a pretty deep one, especially if they end up keeping Larry Borom, who, knock on wood, let's hope that nothing's wrong with Larry Borom long term, right? But you got our starters in Nate Davis, Tevin Jenkins, Darnell Wright. Who am I missing? Braxton Jones and Coach Coleman Shelton. And then coming off his depth, you got J. Tyree Carter, Larry Borom, who've been solid in areas before. You got Jake Curran, you got Matt Pryor, and Kieran Amagaje now, who's fully healthy, and he got out there a couple of snaps in the last preseason game, and I think I'm still missing a couple of people. So we got depth. Now, we don't have the name depth that you look for, but we got some depth there. Avante Collins still has a chance to make this roster as well. So I think we have more depth than what people are kind of equating the Bears to have. It's just, how does this offensive line stay together, right? That's the thing that you have some questions. But one thing as well, and I don't know if the guys talked about this, but since I'm live, I'll go ahead and talk about this, is that with Ian Wheeler getting this ACL surgery, this has allowed the Bears to put him on IR. So another team is not going to be able to swipe Ian Wheeler from the Bears this offseason. So make sure you guys remember that. So now that they can place Ian Wheeler on IR, this basically means that he's going to get to go through a whole nother training camp period with the Chicago Bears. And if he's fully healthy and recovered, and if like Velus Jones has a disappointing season, or if Khalil Herbert leaves this offseason, it gives the Bears a little bit more leeway to see how Ian Wheeler is going to develop. So I'm not saying that it's a good thing. You never want to see anybody go down with injury, but the Bears can benefit from Ian Willer's ACL surgery by now placing him on IR. There's a chance he may not make the roster. He could have been signed to any team, even if you put him on the practice squad. Now, because you can place him on IR, now you can lock him in and keep him here for the rest of the season, which is something that you'll see. All praises to the Most High. Kenny Lofton Jr. What does that have to do here? He's not playing for, like, come on, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about, my guy? But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You already know, if news drops, we drop here at Chicago Bears Central. So make sure you guys stay tuned in to the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Love you guys, man. Stay locked in with us. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And like I like to